Chapter 58. Anna. I think back to all the action films I've seen in which someone is in a car against their will. I'm not bound and gagged. I'm not bleeding or semi conscious. In films, they crawl through the back seat and open the boot, kick through the back light and wait for help. They signal for attention, send Morse code messages with mobile phone flashes. I am not in a film. I sit meekly behind my mother as we leave the motorway and make our way through the streets of southwest London. We slow at a set of lights, and I contemplate banging on the windows, screaming. There's a woman in a Fiat 500 in the filter lane. To our right, middle-aged, sensible-looking. If she calls the police, follows me till they get close. They get to us. But what if she doesn't? If she doesn't notice me, or she dismisses my shouts as idiocy, or doesn't want to be involved. If it doesn't work, I anger my mother for nothing, and right now she's on the edge. I think back to when I was a child, when I would be able to read the signs and know when I could interrupt to ask if I could play out, or to wheedle extra pocket money. A late pass for a Brighton gig. I would approach slowly, see the pulse throbbing in her temple, and know to leave it till later, when the stressor of the day has retreated and she was relaxing with a glass of wine. Even though I know the child locks are on, I move my hand slowly to the inside of the car door and press the button to open the window. There's a dull click as the mechanism registers the action and blocks it. In the rearview mirror, my mother looks up. Let us out. I try again. You can take this car and Ella, and I will go home. It's too late for that. Her voice is high, panicky. They found Tom's body. A shiver runs through me as I think of my father in septic tank. Why? I manage. Why did you do it? It was an accident. In her car seat, Ella wakes with a start and stares at me with unblinking eyes. I was angry. I lashed out. He slipped. I. She breaks off and screws up her face as though pushing away whatever images are inside her head. It was an accident. Did you call the ambulance? The police? Silence. Why come back? You got away with it. Everyone thought Dad had committed suicide. You too. She chews her lips, checks her mirrors, and moves into the right lane, ready to turn. Robert's extension. He'd been planning it for months, but I didn't know he'll need to dig up the sewers, otherwise we would never have. She stopped short. We? Fears wrapped itself round my insides. I tried to block it. He was refused permission, and then he went to appeal. I put in objection, but I needed to see. I needed to see. What? You needed to see what? The response is a whisper. If there was anything left of the body. Bile rises in my throat. You said we. I think of the Mitsubishi. My mother's fear was real. Who was following us? Who are you so frightened of? She doesn't answer. The sat-nav sends us left. We're almost there. I start to panic. Once we're in the flat, escape will be impossible. Serendipitously, I unbuckle Ella's strap so I can grab her the second Mum opens the car door. I picture the underground car park beneath Mark's Putney's flat. The electric door opens with a code and closes automatically, rolling slowly shut with a creaking groan that used to set my teeth on edge when I visited Mark here. The space for his apartment is on the opposite side of the car park. How fast does the door close? I think back, remembering the way the natural light shrinks as you walk from the car to the lift, disappearing altogether as the door clunks to the ground. There will be time. I'll have to be fast, but there will be time. Blood is thudding so fiercely in my head, I'm convinced I can hear it out loud. I slide one arm under Ella. I dare not pick her up too soon. Dare not give my mother any reason to believe I might make a run for it. She comes after us, of course, but even out of shape and with a baby, I can run faster than her. I can make it. I have to be able to make it. My mother hesitates, unsure whether the sat-nav is taking her. I can see the entrance to the underground car park, but I say nothing. I don't want her to know I've been here before and that I'm familiar with the layout. I need every advantage I can get. She crawls forward, peers at each entrance until she sees the right one. It takes her 3 attempts to enter the code Mark gave her on a slip of paper. Her fingers shaking so much they slip from the keys. Slowly, the metal door slides upward. It's lower than I remember, and I'm glad because it will descend at the same pace. I picture the distance between the parking space and the exit, mentally preparing myself for the sprint, imagining Ella in my arms. The car park is dark, lit only by sporadic fluorescent lamps in the absence of daylight. The roller door grinds as it opens. We are through the entrance and down the ramp before I hear the clunk of the door hitting the top of the mechanism. There's a pause, and then the grinding resumes. The door is closing. I can't help myself. I think the space is over there. She maneuvers the cart to the next row, and along to the bay. I start to lift Ella from her car seat. She stiffens, complaining, and I silently beseech her to comply. My mother hesitates, contemplating whether to reverse in, then changes her mind and slots the car neatly into the space. Ella is in my arms. Mum's out of the car. Come on, come out. Come on. I glance behind, see the rectangular shaft of open air squaring off as the door descends, her hand on the car door handle. Come on! There must be 20 meters between the car and the exit. 10 seconds before the gate hits the ground. It's possible. It has to be possible. She opens my car door. I don't hesitate. I kick out hard. The door slams into my mother and sends her flying backwards. I scramble out of the car. Ella clutches to my chest and run. Chapter 59. I would have let them out, Anna and Ella. When I stopped the car and told Anna to get out, I really meant it, not just because I could have gone, disappeared somewhere too far to be found, but because I never wanted either of them to get hurt. Now it's too late. I have to keep them. And insurance, collateral. It's only, if only I got rid of your body on my own, this wouldn't have happened, but I couldn't. I kneeled on the floor, your blood seeping into my jeans. I was feeling for a pulse, looking for the rise and fall of your chest. Even though the bubble of blood between your lips told me everything I needed to know, there was no coming back from this for either of us. I couldn't have told you whether I was crying for you or for me. Maybe it was for the both of us. All I know is I sobered up fast. I put my arms either side of you, tried to heave you into a sitting position, but my hands were slick with blood, and you slipped from my grasp and smashed once more against the tiles. I screamed, rolled you over, and saw the tissue between the crack in your skull. Vomited once, twice, and it was then when I was sitting there covered in your blood and crying in fear of what's that do to me that the door opened. Chapter 60. Anna. Carrying Ella throws me off balance. I lurch from the side to side as I run like a drunk chasing the last bus. Behind me, Mum moans as she picks herself up. She's hurt. I hear her shoes comfortable flats to suit the frumpy persona she acquired as Angela, slapping against the floor as she breaks into a run. The car park is punctuated with grey concrete pillars. Fluorescent lights flicker beneath dirty plastic casing, throwing twin shadows of each pillar into the ground between them. Disorientating me, I focus on the square of freedom directly ahead of me. The square that, even if I watch, is changing dimensions as though someone has tipped the rectangle of the open door on its side. Separating the rows of parking bays are half-height walls. I had thought I would hurdle. They're higher than I remember, wider too, so I scramble over the first one, skinning my knee through the rip in my jeans and almost dropping Ella in the process. I clutch her tight to my breast and she opens her mouth and lets out air raid signs of a scream that bounces off the car park walls and comes back to me tenfold. I glance over my shoulder, but I can't see my mother. The absent makes me check my pace. Hasn't she given up? But I hear Asiana and look to my left. She's veered off to the side. It doesn't make sense until you realize there are no walls that way, no columns to dodge. Her path is longer than mine, but it is clear she will get to me before I reach the door unless I sprint faster. There are two walls between me and the door, and no time to stop and climb over them. I shift Ella to under my arm, which increases her screams but frees my torso to lean into my run. The fourth wall looms in front of me. When did I last hurdle something? A decade ago? 3 paces too. I lift my right leg, extending it forward as I push off with the left, tucking it up behind me to clear the wall. My foot clips the concrete, but I'm over the wall and sprinting. The door mechanism grinds, metal against metal. The bottom of the door is a meter from the ground, and the shaft of night air is shrinking back from the darkness of the garage, as though it's afraid as I am. The final wall, 3, 2, 1. I take off too early. The wall sends me hurtling forward and to the left, and I only just manage to twist Ella to one side as I smash into the bonnet of a Mercedes. The air leaves my body in one sharp breath. Don't make this hard, Anna. I'm lightheaded with lack of air, with a pain in my stomach and chest. I lift my head, my body still sprawled across the bonnet, and see her standing there between me and the exit. I give up. The garage door is still closing. The thick metal bar across its bottom is lower than my waist, but higher than my knees. The light calls to me. There is time, but she's standing right there. And although her hand shakes, and although she swore she wouldn't know how to use it, I can't bring myself to ignore the shiny black barrel of the gun. 61. Chapter 61. I wish you were here. That's ironic, isn't it? You know what to do. You put your hand over mine and you lower my arms until the gun was pointed at the floor. You take it out of my hand, and even though I'd yell at you to leave me alone, like I yelled when you tried to take the vodka, like I yelled when you told me I'd had enough, I would let you go. I would let you take this gun. I don't want it in my hand. I never wanted it. He came around with a shifty, chased me for that week's rent, then put it on the table and said he thought I might want this 2 grand. He knew money was tight. He knew that cleaning toilets, even at a posh girls' school, didn't earn that kind of cash, and that everything I bought with me I'd given to him in rent. But he knew I was scared too. He offered me a loan with interest rate that made my chest tighten. But what choice did I have? I needed protection. I took the loan, bought the gun. I felt better knowing it was there, even though I never thought I'd use it. I used to imagine what would happen if I found, imagine diving for the drawer, and I kept the gun, aiming, firing, my hands shaking. She's your daughter, that's your granddaughter. What am I doing? I hear the freight strains of sirens, and half hope it will get louder, but it drifts away. I need someone to stop me. I wish you were here, but I suppose if you were still here, I wouldn't need you now.